Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the presentation of colors and remain standing for the playing of our national anthem and invocation. For today's ceremony, the Color Guard from the Everett Alvarez High School Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps will present our nation's colors. Color Guard, parade the colors. Color Guard, retire the colors. Chaplain Van Dyke will now deliver the invocation.
If you would like to join me as I pray, I invite you to bow your head with me. Eternal Father, God of wisdom, power, and might, Lord of grace and glory, we thank you today for the privilege of celebrating the accomplishment of these men and women as they graduate from the Naval Postgraduate School. You brought them here from a variety of backgrounds and life experiences, and they have faced a variety of challenges over the course of their time here, some personal, some professional. But by your grace, they have attained this milestone in their careers. Thank you for all their hard work and diligence. Thank you, too, for the family members and friends who have supported them along the way. We know that they have had to make sacrifices, too, so I would ask that you would give them a share in the joy today. As these graduates move on from here to a new assignment, or to return to their job, or perhaps to return to their home country, I ask that you would go before them and that you would deal kindly with them as they make this transition. For those of us who remain and carry on our work here at NPS, give us perseverance and peace. And as we honor them and their accomplishments today, may you be honored because wisdom and power belong to you. Amen.
Please be seated. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Naval Postgraduate School's winter quarter graduation. I'd like to begin the morning ceremony by thanking the Del Monte Brass and the Everett Alvarez High School JROTC Color Guard. The men and women sharing the stage with President Raud and Provost Hensler today are the deans of our various schools, distinguished professors, U.S. foreign government officials, and our local area military leadership. They have all been deeply involved in the education of today's graduates. I am honored to introduce our President, Vice Admiral Ronald Raud, U.S. Navy retired.
Thank you, Dean of Students. Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to King Hall and to the Postgraduate School, and a wonderful ceremony with tremendous opportunity to recognize one of our former alumnus for all of the work he's done, and we're looking forward to that. Today is a celebration of individual commitment, perseverance, and personal accomplishment. We are here today along with family and friends to express our great pride in our students' academic achievements. Joining me on the stage today is our guest speaker, the Honorable Everett Alvarez, Jr., Chief Executive Officer and founder of Alvarez & Associates. Also joining us today in the audience are FEMA Associate Administrator, the Honorable Elizabeth Zimmerman, and the Honorable Richard Haley, Assistant Director, Finance Division, FBI. Also with us are Rear Admiral Donald Eaton, United States Navy retired, also Mr. Ed Smith, Monterey City Council member, and the principal of Everett Alvarez High School, Ms. Jackie Axtell, with members of her Color Guard and staff. Thank you all for joining us today. Thank you. I would also like to recognize and thank the Naval Postgraduate School Foundation, Executive Director Suzanne Fortune, and the foundation members who are with us today. Their continued support of our institution provides us with the margin of excellence that is so important to our success and our students' successes. I would also like to recognize A&D General Contracting, especially Superintendent Brian Galliard, Quality Control Manager Mark Baresi, and Site Safety and Health Officer Christine Lay for working so diligently to make this auditorium available for today's commencement. The King Hall renovation project began last September, and today is our first big event. And as you look around you, it may not look a lot different than when you were here in the past, but there's been significant renovation to those kinds of things that you can't see. New lighting, new heating and air conditioning, and new ductwork, fire suppression systems, plumbing. They fixed the roof, just a lot to do, and they did it on time, and we appreciate that. Thank you. And finally, a thank you to our Dean of Students, Captain Vandersloot, and everyone who worked so hard on his staff to put this event together. And a special thanks to our volunteer musicians in the Del Monte Brass. Please join me in welcoming all our distinguished guests and volunteers. All right. Today, we gratefully acknowledge the faculty and staff whose dedication to each student has made this graduation possible. You are truly a world-class, amazing team. Your passion for teaching and commitment to this institution are greatly appreciated by everyone present, especially our graduates. Because of your incredible teamwork, we celebrate another graduating class of highly educated service members and civilians, a class that includes our first group of 23 graduates receiving a systems engineering non-resident master's degree with directed energy focus, and our first group of executive MBA students from the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Please join me in thanking our incredible Naval Postgraduate School faculty and staff. Thank you. While we honor our graduates and the faculty who helped them get to where they are today, we must also recognize their family and friends. The importance of their love and support and sacrifice cannot be overstated. Thank you for taking time to be with us today, especially to those who have traveled some distance to be here. I would ask you to please stand so that we can thank all of you. To our graduates, words cannot express our immense pride in your success. We have immersed you in an extremely rigorous academic environment that has enabled you to focus on and to think about the challenges that affect your service and our national security. It is our commitment that your NPS education will provide you the foundation upon which the rest of your careers and lifelong learning are built. Many of us here have heard the term the tip of the spear, describing our military forces forward deployed or otherwise actively engaged in deterring and fighting the enemy. At NPS today, we talk about sharpening the spear, sharpening our military spear, sharpening your spear so that you can be more productive and perform your duties effectively at the nation's tip of the spear. In addition, your research, your papers, and your theses, and the research efforts of our faculty and staff also contribute to sharpening our military's effectiveness on the front lines, in military operations of all kinds, and in executing our combatant commanders' theater engagement plans, sharpening the spear. The skills you have developed here will help serve you more effectively wherever you are called, and our nation will count on you as strategic influencers, problem solvers, and leaders wherever your career takes you. We know you will be influencers and leaders at every step along the way, in your wardroom and in your ready rooms, in your units, on your staffs, and especially in command. Influencers and leaders like former NPS graduates Admiral Mike Mullen, Admiral Bill McRaven, Marine General Mike Hagee, and the Honorable Everett Alvarez, who we'll hear from in just a moment. Like them, we know that each of you will make a difference. I also encourage each of you to continue being good mentors and citizens in the communities in which you live and work. I am proud of our citizen students who have dedicated hours each week tutoring local area children as part of the Breakfast for Your Brain program at the NPS Library. And citizen students who participate in the MOTO program, mentoring others through outreach, mentoring at-risk youth in local schools. Many of our students and faculty are actively involved in local science, technology, engineering, and math education programs, judging local science fairs within our community and on campus. Others participate in programs like Monterey County Reads, coordinated by the Panetta Institute for Public Policy, which aims to improve literacy levels among children at local elementary schools through active reading. And still other students have staffed the hotline at local Sexual Assault Crisis Center, built custom homes for local wounded warriors, or have participated in speaking engagements at local schools and organizations. Members of your President and Student Council support our community's Return of the Natives program, a program that revitalizes local sand dune habitat by replacing invasive plants with native vegetation. Thank you to those of you who play an active role in your community and did so while you were here, and I encourage your volunteer spirit in your communities in the future. On a day like today, when you reflect on your accomplishments and look ahead towards an uncertain future in a changing and sometimes violent world, we are reminded of our call to service, your call to service. It is our hope and expectation that you will leave here prepared to serve and prepared to do something great. On behalf of all of us at NPS, thank you and congratulations. And now it is my distinct honor and personal privilege to introduce our guest speaker. A native of Salinas, he is widely known as the first American aviator shot down and taken captive during the Vietnam War. He was held prisoner and endured captivity for more than 8 years. During his military career, he earned numerous commendations, including the Silver Star, 2 Legions of Merit, the Distinguished Flying Cross, and 2 Purple Hearts. Upon his return from Vietnam, he earned a Master of Science in Operations Research and Systems Analysis from the Naval Postgraduate School in 1976. and he earned his Juris Doctor degree from the George Washington University in 1983. He continues to be involved with education through his service on numerous boards of governors and boards of directors. He has served as the Deputy Director of the Peace Corps, the Deputy Administrator of the Veterans Administration, Department of Veteran Affairs, and the Chairman of the Veteran Administration's Capital Asset Realignment for Enhanced Services Commission. In addition to his dedicated service to our country, he founded the consulting firm Alvarez & Associates in 2004, a service-disabled, veteran-owned small business serving the IT, aviation, energy, and emerging technology industries. He is so highly regarded locally that the city of Salinas named a high school after him. One of our graduates here today, Francisco Gutierrez Villarreal, graduated from Everett Alvarez High and joined NPS in the summer of 2012 through the Hartnell Internship Program, where he worked in the OR department. Coincidentally, today's guest speaker and Francisco both graduated from Santa Clara University on scholarships, and both will have received their master's degrees in operations research here at NPS. Yes, indeed. Thank you. Mr. Alvarez represents the epitome of our Navy's core values: honor, courage, and commitment. He exemplifies devotion to his country and dedication to education. In honor of his lifetime achievements, we are pleased to induct him into the Naval Postgraduate School Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame recognizes the accomplishments of NPS's most distinguished alumni and friends, who, through the attainment of positions at the highest levels of public service, have made the greatest contributions to society, their nations, and to the Naval Postgraduate School. To date, NPS has inducted 20 individuals into our Hall of Fame, all of whom have their photographs displayed on the quarterdeck and lobby area in Herman Hall. It is now my privilege to announce the Honorable Everett Alvarez, Jr. as the 21st member of the Naval Postgraduate School Hall of Fame. Congratulations. And here, it'll be good.
To the Honorable Everett Alvarez, Jr., Chief Executive Officer and Founder, Alvarez & Associates, 27 March 2015. Mr. Alvarez's contributions and commitment to the Department of Defense and years of public service are unsurpassed. In the direst of circumstances, he upheld the honor and loyalty of a United States naval officer enduring 8.5 years of brutal captivity in Vietnam. After graduating from the Naval Postgraduate School in 1976 and serving honorably in the United States Navy for 20 years, he went on to fulfill greater achievements as the Deputy Director of the Peace Corps, Deputy Administrator of the Veterans Administration, and served on numerous academic and nonprofit boards. His exemplary and remarkable leadership and service to his country is commendable and distinguishes him as an ambassador for the excellence of the Naval Postgraduate School and all public servants. Signed, Ronald A. Rout, Vice Admiral, United States Navy, retired, President of the Naval Postgraduate School.
Thank you so much. Admiral Rout, honored faculty, guests, students, graduating. First of all, I'm overwhelmed. When I was here 40 years ago, who would have ever dreamed I'd be back up here today? Let me just start by saying that I have a lot of pride in what we observed here with the color guard. Those kids from the high school that was named after me just fills me with a lot of emotion, because to see what we have coming up in the future, and these kids represent that generation. So that makes me not only proud, but very, very glad that we have programs like this around the country. Also want to recognize the Del Monte Brass. What a welcome addition to our ceremonies. But it's an honor to be with you today, because you're celebrating a milestone, recognition of some very hard work and perseverance. For me, this has always been a very special place. What a beautiful setting. Having grown up in this area, I recalled my grandparents and their friends and people of that generation would point out the buildings over there and talk about the Del Monte Hotel, which is now Herman Hall, which was built by the railroads. And they would say, you know, you work hard and you study hard and you grow up and you can make money, you can be rich, someday you can stay there. Well, here I am. And after returning from Vietnam, having the postgraduate school as my first assignment, it was a thrill to be here. Not only because this place has always been recognized as a world-class institution with a world-class faculty, but also because it was home. Some of you, when you came here, probably came after some arduous duty. And in a way, I would say it was a pleasant relief, not only for you, but for your families. So I need to underscore and recognize the families, the spouses, whose support has been so important. I feel, and I remember the support I received from my wife when I studied here, those many late nights and crowded weekends with my head in the books and dashing home to a quick dinner to get back to the computer lab to see if my printout had come out yet. We had the old IBM 360s. And as Ron reminded me, heaven forbid if the IBM punch cards should get mixed up or if we dropped them. But thank goodness we had that support. And again, to the wives, the spouses, the families, thank you. Thank you for what you've given. You know, both of my sons were born here, and sometimes I wonder how we had time for that. Well, you were selected to come to this school. Not only because obviously you have the talent that is required, but you also had the potential. And many of you brought unique operational experiences with a proven ability to learn. Some of you may have come from combat areas where just doing your job meant putting your life on the line, where your experience has given you a thorough sense of teamwork and a deeper understanding of leadership. And I would say that that is why you folks, you students, comprise a very special and exceptional student body, and that's what makes this place special. And what you have accomplished here is to develop some of those tools and some of those skills that will serve you well. It's what you will need as you step into the world of perhaps chaos, confusion, crises certainly. And as graduates, you'll have the opportunity to utilize those skills. You'll be called upon to make decisions which are complex and in a very dangerous world at points. But whether you are military or civilian, you will have to deal with some real important issues like cyber threats, and you'll be working in an environment that are under like budget constraints and other complex situations. The work you're doing may be critical and absolutely vital to the security of this country. In essence, you will be called upon to lead. And you'll have a chance to use the knowledge that you have and those attributes and skills that you have learned and sharpened. That's why you came here. Now, we talk a lot about leadership. And as you think about your future assignments, your advancement in the promotion ladder, the kind of challenges that you will be facing, just a note from my past experience, that those higher level management jobs are filled by people who, those who do the selection will feel they have the ability or the potential of leadership and have the leadership skills as well as being able to manage those jobs. And I want to just point out that there is a slight difference. Many of you, all of you probably, can adequately handle the management and technical jobs. And I think you've proven that already. But I want to point out that a manager tells you what you're supposed to do. A leader inspires you to do it. Has anyone ever heard anyone say, "Take me to your manager"? No. Take me to your leader. And my experience suggests that leadership is really all about character. I have a dear friend who also is in the Hall of Fame here, Dr. Jack London, currently the chairman of the board of CACI, a big defense contractor, who wrote a book. And it talks about leadership, but the title is Character. And he says that leadership has 4 basic intangibles. It starts with integrity. It's revealed through courage and conviction. Gets actualized through commitment and is driven by vision. You can learn to be an effective leader, but the desire has to come from within. And all of these intangibles are based on character. I can recall some of the very fine senior officers that I've had the pleasure and the honor to serve under. And these were great leaders, notably Admiral Jim Stockdale, who is a senior ranking officer of the POW camps, including the Hanoi Hilton. Political leaders like Congressman Sonny Montgomery of Mississippi, who I had the pleasure to work with when he was chair of the House Veterans Affairs Committee. And you will recall the Montgomery GI Bill. These individuals all had that basic ingredient in their soul and their spirit that made them real leaders, and that was the character. So in closing, because I know many of you probably have your cars packed, ready to leave, I will urge you to take the opportunities to develop yourselves further. Continue your learning. Get outside your comfort zone so that you can face new challenges, different challenges. Hone those leadership skills, put them to work. Congratulations for this accomplishment that you are being recognized for today. And thank you, and good luck to you.
Will the candidates for the degree Masters of Arts, Masters of Science, Masters of Business Administration, and Executive Master of Business Administration please stand?
President Rout, I present to you these candidates. After consideration of their academic accomplishments, the Academic Council will recommend them for the degree Master of Arts, Master of Science, Master of Business Administration, and Executive Master of Business Administration as specified.
There's nothing in there.
Upon the recommendation of the Academic Council, I will, by the authority vested in me, confer upon them the degree of Master of Arts, Master of Science, Master of Business Administration, and Executive Master of Business Administration as specified, with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities thereunto pertaining.
Will the first row of candidates please proceed to the platform? Remaining candidates, please be seated. Of this quarter's total 334 graduating class, 88 have also earned their command and staff diploma from the Joint Professional Military Education Program sponsored by the Naval War College.
Can you scoot up a little bit more, sir? Thank you.
Master of Arts in Security Studies, Middle East, South Asia, Sub-Saharan Africa, Major Patrick Vincent Baralt Lavoie, U.S. Marine Corps, with distinction. Major Temi Shango Nuga, U.S. Marine Corps. Lieutenant Commander Jacqueline Andrea Natter, U.S. Navy. Captain Catherine Ann Lockhart, U.S. Air Force, also received the Air Force Association Award for Outstanding U.S. Air Force Student. Major Creighton Aaron Mullins, U.S. Air Force, received the Naval Postgraduate School Superior Service Award, Lewis Liskin Award for Excellence in Regional Security Studies with distinction, and recognized for an outstanding thesis. Masters of Arts in Security Studies, Far East, Southeast Asia, and Pacific. Major Michelle Brandy Avila Derby, U.S. Marine Corps. Captain Romello Lazo de los Santos, U.S. Army. Masters of Arts in Security Studies, Strategic Studies. Miss Diana Beth Uyghur, Department of Navy Civilian. Lieutenant Ryan James Easton, U.S. Navy. Major Lee Kuok Sung Jerry, Republic of Singapore Navy, also received the International Student Award for Excellence in Regional and Security Studies. Lieutenant Joshua Heath Snoke, U.S. Navy. Major Christopher Kim, U.S. Air Force. Major Celia Pang, U.S. Air Force. Captain Susan Wei King Wong Torek, U.S. Air Force. Masters of Arts in Security Studies, Western Hemisphere. Major Graydon Muller, U.S. Air Force. Captain Rigoberto Perez Palomarin, Jr., U.S. Air Force. Major Joel Rivera, U.S. Air Force. Captain Duilela Mora Turner, U.S. Air Force. Also received the Outstanding United States Air Force Graduate Award, Department of National Security Affairs, and with distinction. Major Daniel Wilcox, U.S. Air Force. Masters of Arts in Security Studies, Europe and Eurasia, Major Albert Michael Martell, U.S. Marine Corps. Major Stephanie Ba, U.S. Army. Lieutenant Michael A. Houseleden, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Joseph Levitt. Major Sergei Medvedev, U.S. Air Force. The Hans Jones Award for Excellence in Thesis Research in Special Operations and Irregular Warfare or Security, also recognized for outstanding thesis. Masters of Arts in Security Studies, Civil Military Relations. Lieutenant Colonel Christian Nelson Milara Castillo, El Salvadorian Air Force. Commander Askari, Indonesian Navy. Lieutenant Colonel Saruz Kumar Adhikari, Nepalese Army. Lieutenant Colonel Puran Kela, Nepalese Army. Lieutenant Colonel Bhuwan Puna Satyal, Nepalese Army. Masters of Arts in Security Studies, Strategic Studies, Captain Mark Conklin, U.S. Army, also recognized for outstanding thesis. Captain Hassan Kamara, U.S. Army, also recognized for outstanding thesis. Lieutenant Commander Calvin M. Campbell, Jr., U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Jamie Jordan, U.S. Navy. Masters of Arts in Security Studies, Homeland Security and Defense. Lieutenant Commander Brian Thomas Koltaz, U.S. Navy, also recognized for outstanding thesis. Lieutenant Eric Andrew Kiankoski, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Walter Lee, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Ryan Kellen McFadden, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Eric Zachary Wynn, U.S. Navy. Masters of Arts in Security Studies, Homeland Security and Defense, Major Amy Bonanno, New York Army National Guard. Miss Jerry Lee Bennett, Federal Emergency Management Agency, Washington, D.C., also received the Curtis H. Butch Straub Achievement Award and with distinction. Mr. Jason Bierman, Snohomish County Department of Emergency Management, Everett, Washington. Ms. Krista Brzezowski, U.S. Department of Homeland Security, Washington, D.C. Chief Reginald Chappelle, California Highway Patrol, San Luis Obispo, California. Assistant Fire Chief Philip Cocker, Los Angeles County Fire Department, California. Mr. Jesse Cooper, Phoenix Police Department, Arizona. Captain John DeRoos, Everett Police Department, Washington. Ms. Roxanne Pinola Diaz, Northern Marianas Commonwealth Legislator, Saipan. Mr. Thomas Dobson, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, Lee's Summit, Missouri. Captain Anthony Douthit, Tulsa Fire Department, Oklahoma. Lieutenant Ryan Fieldspack, City of Aurora Fire, Colorado. Captain Frank Foreman, Los Angeles County Fire Department, California. Ms. Anya Fordenthal, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, California. Battalion Chief Jamie Lasinski, Los Angeles Fire Department, California. Lieutenant Brendan Gillen, New York City Fire Department. Lieutenant James Hanlon, Massachusetts State Police. Mr. William Hayes, Westchester Intelligence Center, White Plains, New York. Miss Lori Hodges, Larimer County Government, Fort Collins, Colorado. Deputy Chief Michael McLaughlin, New York City Fire Department. Captain John Milby, Douglas County Sheriff's Office, Nevada, also recognized for outstanding thesis. Mr. Timothy Mulvihill, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, Chicago, Illinois. Mr. Jeff Murray, U.S. Department of Homeland Security, Albuquerque, New Mexico. Mr. Andrew Natoli, New York State Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services. Mr. David O'Leary, U.S. Department of Homeland Security, Washington, D.C. Detective Robert Runnels, Los Angeles Police Department, California, also received the Philip Zimbardo Award with distinction. Mr. Keith Schenkel, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, Phoenix, Arizona. Miss Lisa Schoenthal, California Emergency Medical Services Authority, Rancho Cordova. Miss Karen Sims, U.S. Department of Homeland Security, Washington, D.C. Chief Randall Talafaro, City of East Lansing and City of Lansing, Michigan. Miss Valley Wasp, New Mexico Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Management, Santa Fe. Masters of Arts in Security Studies, Combating Terrorism, Policy and Strategy, Major Elila Bash, U.S. Army. Major Rashad Ahmed Yahya Hansel, Yemeni Army. Major Alex Boma Tumu Shabi, Ugandan Army. Masters of Science in Electrical Engineering, Military Expert 5, Lee Wo Che, Singapore Navy, also received the Space and Naval Warfare Systems Command Award in Electronic Systems Engineering. Lieutenant Commander Cornelius Levon Mason, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Brian Michael Schaus, U.S. Navy. Masters of Engineering Science, Electrical Engineering, Mr. Alessio Antonio Grompone, Naval Postgraduate School. Masters of Science in Mechanical Engineering, Lieutenant Eid Fakuri, U.S. Navy, also received the Naval Systems Command Award in Naval Mechanical Engineering. Lieutenant Cassandra Mitchell, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Bradley Turnbaugh, U.S. Navy. Masters of Engineering Science, Mechanical Engineering, Major Rene de la Fuente, U.S. Army. Lieutenant Ryan McCabe, U.S. Navy. Masters of Science in Meteorology and Physical Oceanography, Lieutenant Commander Christopher Morris, U.S. Navy. Masters of Science in Physical Oceanography, Lieutenant James Ball, U.S. Navy. Masters of Science in Engineering Acoustics, Lieutenant Timothy Erickson, U.S. Navy, also received the Chief of Naval Operations Undersea Warfare Award. Masters of Science in Applied Physics, Lieutenant Colonel Philip Rozecki, U.S. Army. Lieutenant Raphael Oyola, Jr., U.S. Navy, Defense Contract Management Agency, Owego, New York. Masters of Science in Systems Engineering, Lieutenant Shane Joseph Axness, Naval Air Systems Command. Mr. Darren George Beda, Naval Sea Systems Command, Port Hueneme Division. Mr. Seth Bourne, Naval Sea Systems Command, Port Hueneme Division. Mr. Bradley James Fiedler, Naval Sea Systems Command. Mr. Victor Hugo Garcia, Naval Surface Warfare Center, Port Hueneme Division. Mr. Amarul Islam, Navy Sea Systems Command, also received the Meyer Award for Outstanding Student in Systems Engineering Distance Learning. Mr. James Charles Johnson II, Naval Sea Systems Command, Port Hueneme Division. Mr. Andres Lozano, Naval Surface Warfare Center, Port Hueneme, also received the Myers Award for Outstanding Student in Systems Engineering Distance Learning. Ms. Kimberly Ruth Martinez, Raytheon Integrated Defense Systems. Mr. Brian Robert Meadows, Naval Sea Systems Command. Mr. Mitchell Anthony Pulowski, Raytheon Integrated Defense Systems. Mr. Eric Reyes, Naval Surface Warfare Center, Port Hueneme Division. Mr. Martin Rivas, Jr., Naval Surface Warfare Center, Port Hueneme Division. Mr. Matthew Michael Sheehan, Naval Surface Warfare Center, Port Hueneme Division. Miss Virginia Ann Shields, Naval Surface Warfare Center, Port Hueneme Division. Mr. Thomas Wong, Naval Air Warfare Center, Weapons Division, China Lake. Mr. Jovan Zamora, Naval Sea Systems Command, Port Hueneme Division. Mr. Jinhao Ong, Singapore Defense Science and Technology Agency. Masters of Science in Engineering Systems, Lieutenant Andrew Joseph Hankins, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Joel Richard Kent III, U.S. Navy. Commander Vernon John Redd, U.S. Navy, also received the Myers Award for Outstanding Student in Systems Engineering Distance Learning. Mr. Socrates Frangis, Naval Sea Systems Command, Port Hueneme Division, also received the Myers Award for Outstanding Student in System Engineering Distance Learning. Ms. Bridget Seward Grajeda, Naval Sea Systems Command, Port Hueneme Division, also received the Myers Award for Outstanding Student in System Engineering Distance Learning. Ms. Nicole Marie T. Burge, Naval Air Systems Command. Masters of Science in Space Systems Operation, Lieutenant Andrew Konowitz, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Zachary Zero, U.S. Navy. Mr. Chu Jingyi, Singapore Defense Science and Technology Agency. Masters of Science in Cyber Systems and Operation, Master Sergeant William Hess, U.S. Marine Corps. Captain Maribel Cisneros, U.S. Army, with distinction. Lieutenant Colonel Afrin Fernandez, U.S. Army. Captain Eric Michael Folsom, U.S. Army. Captain Leander Metcalf II, U.S. Army. Lieutenant Colonel Kevin Steyer. Lieutenant Andrew Adams, U.S. Navy, also received the Fleet Cyber Command Award for Academic Achievement in Cyber Operation and Outstanding Thesis. Lieutenant Glenn Greenleaf, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Ken Jones, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander Brake Lefevre, U.S. Navy, with distinction. Lieutenant Commander Henry Lang, U.S. Navy, also received the Naval Intelligence Foundation Admiral Bobby Ray Inman Award for outstanding performance in the field of intelligence and information dominance and outstanding thesis. Lieutenant Andrew Michalowicz, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Adam Sinzel, U.S. Navy, outstanding thesis. Lieutenant Lee Tanner, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander Chad Weedle, U.S. Navy. Masters of Science in Applied Cyber Operation, IT-1, Jamo Mujib, U.S. Navy. Masters of Science in Computer Science, Lieutenant Jacob Boomgarden, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Brendan Gagan, U.S. Navy, with distinction, outstanding thesis. Lieutenant Seneca Johns, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander Jeffrey Korzakowski, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Matthew Gray, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant J. Brighton Taylor, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Clinton Woods, U.S. Navy. Mr. Tai Guan Yen, Singapore Ministry of Defense, with distinction, outstanding thesis. Mr. Francisco Gutierrez Villayere, Federal Cyber Corps. Mr. Aurelio Manares, Department of the Navy. Ms. Catherine Sheridan Barbian, Federal Cyber Corps. Mr. Scott Slayback, Federal Cyber Corps. Masters of Science in Information Technology Management, Ms. Christy Sewall, DMDC. Masters of Science in Network Operations and Technology, Major Michael Senift, U.S. Army. Also received the degree Masters of Science in Computer Science, the United States Army Joseph Stilwell Chapter Award for Outstanding Army Student and Outstanding Thesis. Lieutenant Hunter Coates, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander Stephen DeBitch, U.S. Navy, Outstanding Thesis. Lieutenant Commander Vincent Dova, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Bruce Hill, U.S. Navy, also received the Network Operations and Technology Outstanding Graduate Award with distinction and outstanding thesis. Lieutenant Commander John Loomis, U.S. Navy, outstanding thesis. Lieutenant Commander Ryan Segerty, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Gabriel Urquidez, U.S. Navy. Masters of Science in Operations Research, Lieutenant Commander Michael Albrecht, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander Kyle Alcock, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Jaymar Ballesteros, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Travis Chambers, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander Brian Colburn, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Jason DeLeon, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander Van Fitzsimmons, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander Maxine Gardner, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Forrest McLaughlin, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Stephen Rockwell, U.S. Navy, also received the Navy Surface Association Award for Excellence in Surface Warfare Research. Lieutenant Dustin Schultz, U.S. Navy, also received the Surface Navy Association Award for Excellence in Surface Warfare Research. Lieutenant Timothy Schaefer, U.S. Navy, also received the Monterey Council Navy League Award for Highest Academic Achievement, Military Operations Research Society Stephen A. Tisdale Graduate Research Award, and Chief of Naval Operations Award for Excellence in Operations Research. Lieutenant Andrew Thompson, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Michael Wiederholt, U.S. Navy. Masters of Science in System Analysis, Lieutenant Andrew McCaffrey, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Juan Manuel Ortiz, U.S. Navy. Captain Samuel Paparo, U.S. Navy. Commander Brian Williams, U.S. Navy. Masters of Science in Cost Estimating and Analysis, Ms. Summer Bartshee, Air Force Material Command Financial Management Cost, Wright Air Force Base, Dayton, Ohio. Mr. Benjamin Coberly, Boeing Corporation, Seattle, Washington. Ms. Kimberly Del Rio, Defense Security Service, Quantico, Virginia. Ms. Kefayat Kalani, Naval Air Systems Command, Pawtucket River, Maryland. Mr. Thomas Phelan, MITRE Corporation, McLean, Virginia. Ms. Rachel Shear, Headquarters, Department of the Army, Fort Belvoir, Virginia. Mr. Dalton Wilkins, Program Executive Officer, Enterprise Information Systems, Alexandria, Virginia. Ms. Karim Wober, Air Force Life Cycle Management Center, Wright Pat Air Force Base, Dayton, Ohio. Master of Science in Information Operations, Captain Ariel Alcade, U.S. Army. Major Ryan Schlosser, U.S. Army. Masters of Science in Defense Analysis, Major Jeffrey Hahn, U.S. Army. Lieutenant James Philip Stebbins, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Colonel Bjorn Macaulay, German Special Forces. Masters of Science in Management, Captain Mark Klugler, U.S. Marine Corps. Major William Whaley, U.S. Marine Corps, also recognized for outstanding thesis. Captain Gunnar Spafford, U.S. Marine Corps. Major Mateo Salas, U.S. Marine Corps. Captain Sean Norton, U.S. Marine Corps. Captain Daniel Ely, U.S. Marine Corps. Captain Matthew Curry, U.S. Marine Corps, also received the Chief of Naval Personnel Award for Academic Excellence in Manpower Systems, the Louis D. Liskin Award for Excellence in Business and Public Policy with distinction. Captain Lucas Kreider, U.S. Marine Corps. Captain Or Orbush, Turkish Army, also received the Graduate School of Business and Public Policy Faculty Outstanding International Student Award. Colonel Lesky Palovich, Ukrainian Army. First Lieutenant Mustafa Korkmaz, Turkish General Command. Lieutenant Commander Russell Sansone, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Elizabeth Newbold, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Wesley Musselman, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Timothy Henderson, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander Case Garrison, U.S. Navy, with distinction. Lieutenant Commander Amanda Janovich, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Anthony Capona, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant J.G. Ryan Blowers, U.S. Navy, outstanding thesis. Lieutenant Commander Serena Blankenship, U.S. Navy, outstanding thesis. Lieutenant Ethan Blankenship, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander Kristen Shepard, U.S. Navy, with distinction, outstanding thesis. Lieutenant Commander Brett Williams, U.S. Navy, also received the Chief of Naval Personnel Award for Academic Excellence in Manpower Systems, with distinction and outstanding thesis. Lieutenant Colonel Arthur Alexandre Genchu Tonelli, Brazilian Air Force, also received the Naval Postgraduate School Outstanding Academic Achievement Award for International Students and the Graduate School of Business and Public Policy Faculty Outstanding International Student Award. Lieutenant Colonel Marcos Vinius de Mello Tanakahashi, Brazilian Air Force. Masters of Business Administration, Captain Charles Moeller, U.S. Marine Corps, also received the Rear Admiral Donald R. Eaton Logistics Award for Outstanding Achievement. Captain Emmeline Hill, U.S. Marine Corps, also received the Rear Admiral Donald R. Eaton Logistics Award for Outstanding Achievement and Outstanding Thesis. Captain Philip Gallo, U.S. Marine Corps. Captain Nolan Rogenkamp, U.S. Army. Lieutenant Beth Mattison, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant David Caballero, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander Mark Lenore, U.S. Coast Guard. Captain Meredith Ellen, U.S. Air Force. Mr. Joel Gomez, Naval Postgraduate School, Center for Education, Design, Development, and Distribution. Executive Masters of Business Administration, Lieutenant Dario Brooks, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Joseph Campbell, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Matthew Clifford, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Andrew Countess, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant William Dennis, U.S. Navy Reserve. Lieutenant Ian Flint, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander Stephen Hartman, U.S. Navy. Captain Jonathan Lee Hahn, U.S. Navy. Commander Joshua Keever, U.S. Navy, with distinction. Lieutenant Commander Aaron Massey, U.S. Navy, also received the Louis D. Liskin Award for Excellence in Business and Public Policy, with distinction. Lieutenant Gregory Miyake, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Michael Morse, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Jeremy Mortimer, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Nelson Mozzini, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander Daniel Nelson, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Andrew Pareda, U.S. Navy, also received the Louis D. Liskin Award for Excellence in Business and Public Policy, with distinction. Lieutenant Nathan Richard, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Clifford Sovich, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Daniel Stone, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Kevin Teague, U.S. Navy. Commander Gordon Wisbach, U.S. Navy. Mr. Scott Bonhoff, Federal Bureau of Investigation. Mr. Staden Cook, Fort Ord Reuse Authority. Ms. Kristen Koscielny, Federal Bureau of Investigation. Mr. David Louis Marmo, Federal Bureau of Investigation, with distinction. Mr. William Rhodes, Federal Bureau of Investigation. Miss Rachel Salvo, Federal Bureau of Investigation. Miss Janice Leon Guerrero, Department of the Navy. Please join me in giving all of our graduates a well-deserved round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the graduation ceremony. On behalf of the President and of all of us at the Naval Postgraduate School, I'd like to once again thank you for being here today. We offer our sincere appreciation to the students of Everett Alvarez High School and the Del Monte Brass. Please remain clear of the aisles until the platform party and faculty have departed. President Rao cordially invites graduates, faculty, and guests to a reception in honor of the graduates in the Barbara McNitt Ballroom of Herman Hall immediately following this ceremony. Chaplain Van Dyke will now give the benediction.
Bow your head with me if you'd like to join me as I pray. God of grace and glory, the rewarder of all who seek you, and the giver of rest to those who trust in you, bless us now with renewed confidence and peace. Work in us and through us that which is pleasing in your sight. Blessed be your name now and forevermore. Amen.